Good morning, everyone. This is Pastor Winston. Hey, look, we're heading right down the road. We're in episode number 6 of Jesus is the True and Better Everything. Fill in the blank. But we're looking at Abraham and Isaac again. This is sort of part 2 of that. So let's get started in this. I'll diminish myself and we'll be on our way. Episode 6, part 2. And this comes from Oswald Chambers in his Mount was for his highest. I think it's on January 8th. He says, Abraham at this point, if you kind of remember where we were, he's sort of got Isaac, he's on the altar, he's got his knife up there, and he's ready to slay him. That's where we stopped last time. And now all this suspense has happened for 2 weeks. I know you couldn't wait, so you went ahead and read ahead. Hopefully you did. But Chambers writes about this point. This very point is that he's reached the place where he's in touch with the very nature of God. Abraham now understands how real and how loving and everything about God's nature, his faithfulness. And so we're going to explore that a little bit here today. And we're going to head right into the scriptures. We're in Genesis 22, 13 through 18. We're going to talk about the sacrifice of Isaac. It says, but the angel of the Lord, so he's got the knife up there, he's ready to slay him, and an angel of the Lord calls from heaven and says, Abraham, Abraham. And Abraham says, well, here I am. And the angel said, do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Wow. That is amazing. And so Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his own son, his only son. So Abraham called the name of that place, the Lord will provide. And that's Jehovah Jireh. I mean, you've probably heard that term. And what is that exactly? Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. Learn that today. On the mount of the Lord, it shall be provided. The Lord will provide, as it is said to this day, on the mount of the Lord, it shall be provided. On the mount. And that comes into play pretty soon here. So here we have the angel of the Lord calls to Abraham a second time from heaven. And he says, by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore. And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in your offspring shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Wow. So we have 5 little reflections on what did Abraham really see here. It says Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked. He saw the ram in the thicket. But he saw more than that. He saw that what God required, he provided. He saw God merciful and gracious through the provision he made for Isaac. And he saw that God would provide all that's necessary to fulfill his promise. And he saw the greater work of God, where God would pay with his own son the price of redemption for all who would believe in his son. Abraham sees that God shows his love for us, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Yeah. And the fifth thing is this. Abraham saw Christ's day. This is cool. He was shown the very place where the temple would stand. Mount Moriah, that's where they went. And Mount Calvary, where God would sacrifice his own son to take away the sins of the world. Jesus said this, and this is what's cool. Your father, he's telling these rabbis, scribes, and Pharisees, your father Abraham rejoiced at the thought of seeing my day. He saw it and was glad. Whoa, wait a minute, that's great. You see, even today, Abraham's faith remains a symbol, but not necessarily his faith, but his faith in the faithfulness of God. Hebrews 11 says, by faith Abraham considered that God was able to raise him up from the dead. Abraham saw Jehovah Jireh. God bless you. Have a great week, and just ponder on these things. See you in a few weeks. Bye.